go. Okay, now we'll do the show.
Okay.
This episode of Lords of the Storm is brought to you by our sponsors over at Patreon, where you, yes you, can also support the show. Just head over to patreon.com/Lords of the Storm to become a patron today.
Heroes, gather tribute and earn my favor. Say, are you ready to begin?
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 111 of Lords of the Storm, the weekly Heroes of the Storm podcast for you, the true Heroes of the Storm. I'm your host, Greg Gizmozord Parker, and I am, of course, joined tonight by the Zord Lords themselves, Mr. Kevin Multizord Ellis and Ryan TBK Zord Reader. And on this week's episode, I am victorious. Genji and Hanamura enter the 2.0 beta, along with more skins and goodies, and we wrap up our first week back from break in the HGC. Well, the HGC. But first, let's see how the other Zords are doing. Multi, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing quite well. I hope everyone had a happy esports-filled weekend because HGC is risen. It's back. It was super fun to watch. And, otherwise, just doing well. How about you?
I am doing all right. I am alive again, and I can breathe, and it's fantastic. Are we all healthy this week? All three of us?
I am, yeah.
Awesome.
Yes.
Great.
I thought you were just coughing like 2 seconds ago.
It's, you know.
It's healthy
I'm
for
healthy,
you.
yeah.
It's healthy for Greg.
TBK, how are you doing tonight?
Good. I'm doing very well. Excited to talk about all the stuff that we've got coming. And there's even more coming next week. Like, next week's show is going to pale in comparison to this week's show. Because there's so much stuff coming.
It's like I'm getting
Heroes
so many
Christmas
birthday presents.
I know.
Last week, and then Heroes Christmas this week, and then Heroes Christmas again next week.
Yeah.
It's a good time to be a Heroes fan.
Good times.
No doubt. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. TBK, what... dang it. What have you been up to in gaming this week?
Heroes. I mean, what else would I be doing? I am doing some Mass Effect Andromeda on the side, and it's been enjoyable. It hasn't quite like sucked me in as much yet as the previous ones. It's kind of a slow burn, but I plan on setting aside some time to dedicate to it this weekend, so we'll see how it goes. I'm like 15 hours or so in so far, so it's pretty good. But lots of heroes, some Genji, some Hanamura, some Team League, some Hero League, some Quick Match, some Brawls.
A little bit of everything. Okay, fair enough. Multi, how about you?
I got some heroes in as well. Caught up on some Hero League as well. And, of course, Hearthstone. Still rocking that out. Going to the Pirate Warrior. Crucify me if you must. It's still a good deck. Anyway. And otherwise, I'm actually more excited for the future of gaming. Did you see that announcement that they're going to be doing one of those Super Nintendo minis? The SNES mini?
Yes. And it looks, the game list looked incredible. All I needed to see was Earthbound.
Earthbound, Chrono Trigger. I mean, these are my favorite games of all time to this day. It's going to be insane.
You know what that means, though, that they are not going to do virtual, just a virtual console that they need to do on the Switch, like for all Nintendo things.
See,
because they're going to want you to buy this to go play old Nintendo game, like.
But they just discontinued the classic NES, which
is a weird move anyway.
Yeah, I would have thought that would have been discontinued potentially because I mean, honestly, let's be real. Nintendo's dumb.
Oh yeah.
Nintendo is super dumb. Like
They're dropping the ball a lot lately.
they just drop the ball constantly. Like with their online stuff, with the way they release stuff, they make incredible games, but just as a whole for marketing and for stuff, they're just dumb. So I would have maybe they killed the virtual console or the little NES one classic so that they could put the virtual console on the Switch, but then they said, "Oh no, SNES classic mini is coming out." So I don't know. Like I don't understand.
I think they're separate entities. I think the Virtual Console for Switch is at least okay, isn't it? Or is it worse than the old Wii's were? Because Wii was really all right as far as that goes. I need to do more research, but
I don't know.
yeah.
Anyways, this isn't a gaming news show. There are some great ones out there. I would recommend
There are.
Pixels
Right.
of Patrick Beja. I'm sure they will.
Oh yes,
mention
very
that.
much so.
But myself in gaming this week, so I have taken a slight step back from Heroes, just kind of waiting for 2.0 to get out here. So I've still played a
Yeah.
little bit of Quick Match, but I've taken this opportunity to get back into Diablo for the season on hardcore. So I made a Barb this season, spin to win build. Still trying to get my set pieces. I'm not having very great luck.
He's still
with that.
alive?
Kadala's mean. Yeah, I'm alive.
Yay!
Doing
Yeah.
fine, doing fine. So I haven't been pushing Greater Rifts hard yet because I need to get my set
Okay.
pieces. But
Sometimes you always just come on and you're just like, guys, I made a hardcore character, and then the next day we see guys.
I
Rip.
yeah, it's true. But I'm gonna gear it up. Then next Monday probably is gonna be like my push Greater Rifts until I die, and then Heroes 2.0 comes out, and it's gonna be a great time in there. Let's go ahead and get
yeah.
into the show here, though. TBK, what do we got going on with the store sales this week?
We've actually got some really good stuff. We've got Lunara, and then the Sentinel Lunara skin, and the Cyberak and Nubarak skin. And I actually bought them both because I
Makes
didn't have
sense.
either of them. And it's a robot and a deer with armor. So I
Well,
couldn't
and when
resist.
you buy it now, you get all three tints when the new system rolls in. So I mean, it kind of makes sense. I'm even thinking about Cyberak
Exactly.
and Nubarak, and I don't play them very much. So
They are good skin, and the Sentinel Lunara is pretty darn incredible. Plus, Lunara best hero in the game right now, right? Multi,
she's actually in a pretty good spot.
she is.
So, yeah.
What do we got going for the free hero rotation?
Oh, we've got quite a few of them, of course. We've got Ariel, Asmodan, Dahaka, Gazlo, Johanna, Malfurion, Thrall, Tychus, Vala, Zul'jin. Then we've got Rexar at 5, Illidan at 7, Nova at 12. So, yeah, Nova week. And then Probius at 15. Clocking in at the first time Probius is rotating in for free. And just so you guys know, he's in a better spot than he was, certainly when he first came out. And if you go back to our episode and hear us kind of complaining a ton about it, just know he's in a better spot. So get in there, try him out if you haven't, for sure. Maybe he fits your playstyle a bit better than he does mine. And then you will have discovered a new hero that you like. So
He's really good in the brawl. Actually, I discovered
yeah,
this evening as well.
Okay.
Really
good
good.
to know.
I haven't. I think I got Probius to 5 and then kind of haven't touched him. So I don't know. I need to give him another shot here, but
I do too.
He-
It's not like I dislike him, but he's just.
yeah, it's just
I'm gonna have to.
He's
adjust my
very
playstyle.
strong right now.
Yeah.
He was buffed quite a bit.
Yeah.
fair enough. All right. Well, we got quite a bit of news this week, so let's go ahead and jump on into that. All right, so first and foremost here, Con Before the Storm 2017. It is back. And of course, if you guys don't know what this is, which if you've listened to the show for at least a year now, first off, thank you. But this is an event that has been going on like 5 years now since...
I think this is the 5th one.
Yeah, I think it's year number 5. So
Yep.
this
Yep.
is a community gathering that's put on in Anaheim kind of during the BlizzCon week. And it's an amazing, amazing gathering of people from the community that you would know from all Blizzard titles, podcasters, there's panels, there's incredible artwork that's up for auction. And so they have their Kickstarter here, have launched it to prepare for this year. and they, I believe, had already reached goal number 1, but there are some more goals they're trying to reach to. Ideally, their main goal here is 24,000. That's going to allow us to get a ton of space because there's a lot of people that go to this thing. So they you need to rent a lot of space. And if they hit that main goal, then well, actually, if they hit their first goal at 16,500, they're going to be hosting the Frog Pants and A-Move TV meetup as well, which they've kind of typically done their separate thing where they do live shows. They'll be able to do that at the Calm Before the Storm. There'll, of course, still be the panels, the meet and greets, everything like that. So we will have the link for the Kickstarter. If you plan on going to BlizzCon, please support this amazing event. It's incredible. They put a ton of work into it. Or if you're not, I believe last year, did they have the live stream going?
I think they had at least audio.
You could get audio
for World of
it,
Podcasts going.
Yeah.
Yeah. So make sure and check that out. Yes. And TPK did a panel last year. I did a panel the year before that. Multi also did a panel last year for Overwatch.
That's right. That's right.
Of course. So also, more exciting news, Hero Hype has partnered with Tempo Storm. If you guys haven't seen this yet, and beginning Wednesday, April 19th, they're going to start a 6-week amateur series. The first 5 weeks is going to get your placements, and then the top 8 teams will be invited to compete in the final week for the Tempo Storm Series 1 finals on Wednesday, May 24th. So this is really, really cool for Heroes Hype. Excited for them. So get your teams signed up there. I don't know when the deadline is, but again, first
I think it's a week-to-week thing. Of course, the first one is happening.
Tonight. So okay, so you can sign up week to week, kind of like the open league. Perfect. And that's using Battlefy. We'll also have the link to that Reddit post so you can get a team signed up there. And then there's another Q&A coming, and this will be on April 24th. So a week from today, and it's going to be about Genji and Hanamura. Of course, the newest entries into Heroes 2.0, and you get all your questions in there. It will begin at 11:30 a.m. Pacific, and we'll go for, I believe, about 2 hours. So
yeah. Well, it's almost a week from today. It's actually Monday.
Yes, it is
Monday. Yeah.
Yep.
Monday the 24th. Yeah, and they usually go for about 2 hours. And they don't have listed yet who is actually going to be there other than artists, designers, and producers. So
I'd
pretty much
imagine
the full spectrum.
Probably we'd see some representation there since part of it's about the new map and everything. So, yeah.
I would assume so. So get your questions ready.
Yes.
This will be a pretty big one because I know a lot of people have a lot of feelings on Hanamura, and we'll be talking about that a little later.
They do. And then also got a couple other things here. Lords of the Lane 6, we did announce this last week. Finally, this will be May 7th, 12 Pacific, 2 Central. Patron sign-ups went out tonight. And then we are going to open the general sign-ups sometime this weekend. We haven't decided yet, but stay tuned. We'll post that on Twitter whenever you guys can go sign up. And again, you only need one other person to enter this tournament. That's the beauty about a 2v2 tournament. One of a kind. Super easy to find somebody to play with. Incredibly different gameplay, different meta. It's just a whole bunch of craziness, and it's really fun to cast. So we're excited to bring that back, and I can't believe it's number 6. We're gonna be in the double digits before we know it.
It's going to be nuts. And again, if people are looking for a teammate and you just don't have anyone of your friends that's available at the time, hop on our Discord, just ask around. I know there's got to be other people that are vaguely interested in hanging out in the wings. And then if you chime in there, they'll be like, oh, yeah, let's do this. Let's knock it out. So
knock it out.
And this sounds awesome. This was announced yesterday. So they are going to be having a live launch event for Heroes 2.0, and that is going to be on April 25th, my birthday, at 11 a.m. and it is going to be kind of a walkthrough of everything 2.0. There's going to be interviews with members of the development team, an exhibition match,
Oh, nice.
as well as the brand new cinematic, which will reveal the next hero coming to the Nexus.
Oh,
So
that's hype.
yeah, and I saw somebody tweeted at us, wondering if it could be Anduin with the new Anduin cinematic, I believe, in World of Warcraft. I would assume not.
Yep.
It's
Yeah,
not
the
an Anduin cinematic in
7.2
StarCraft.
cinematic.
So yes, in World of Warcraft.
Right.
There's also been a lot of discussion. A French site had a leak of some sort, a French hero site, calling it a heroine reveal. So it's potentially female, and because of all the Overwatch theme and stuff, a lot of people are, including myself, are suspecting potentially Diva.
It's a possibility.
Because
Okay.
they've been talking about adding some new tanks, which we have not really seen yet this year, female and Overwatch related. So there's definitely potential. I would
was kind of wondering
personally rather see Reinhardt, but
Well,
Yeah, same
yeah.
here.
I'll take her. I'll take
either
her.
would
That's
be
fine.
good for sure. And I mean, I was kind of wondering if they were going to keep the Overwatch train going a little bit, because it's not like tied to an event per se, as we've seen with the StarCraft one and the Diablo one previously. But yeah, maybe we'd see a couple in a row like this, maybe even 2 or 3. You never know. It's very interesting.
Yeah, it'll be
So,
interesting kind of what pace they keep with the Overwatch stuff, because that is by
Right.
far the smallest, pool for them to draw from. So
This is also
exactly.
the smallest pool that is in the game.
Yeah.
As well. Other than
Needs to be fleshed
of
out.
course their little side
but you
Lost
also may
Vikings,
say it's
Blackthorn, whatever.
the largest pool in the game based on pool size. The highest percentage of characters from that.
maybe.
Title,
There's
IP.
still a lot they could do, naturally.
I know.
We've
Yeah,
got
I mean
they have-
they've got,
how many do
they've
they
got
have? 3?
20 some people.
they're in 24 now.
yeah.
So that's
So-
over 10% of those characters.
So
in the game.
if we do get Diva, and she does turn out to be a tank, this will actually allow us to form a semi-legit full Overwatch team.
That's right.
Because you'll have Genji, you'll have Zarya, you'll have Tracer, you'll have Lucio for support, and then you'd have Diva for tank. So Bruisers, tank, Lucio support, then you'd have 2 range-ish 80 carry
Yeah.
type.
It's probably not the best comp in the world, but it'd be fun, and people are going to be messing around with it when the time
Yeah.
comes. So,
It'd be
but either way,
semi-legitimate.
yeah, it'd be all right. It'd be all right.
Mm-hmm.
But the point is, though, that if they're doing this hero reveal in a cinematic, it's got to be super hype, whoever it is. Like, I mean, the last time we saw one of these was Varian and Ragnaros. I mean, Ragnaros was the guy we all wanted in the game, right? So it's got to be huge.
Yeah.
I don't know
The
if
more
TBK wanted
cinematics,
them,
the
but-
better. Just,
No, he didn't say anything about it.
just a little bit.
Just Ragnaros slipped your mind when thinking of heroes. to
Yeah,
come into the
I
game.
mean, I wasn't hoping for it at all. I didn't pee my pants a little bit when the cinematic was shown for the first time.
a little bit.
Slip.
So as far as this event, Anna Prosser is going to be, and Kevin Johnson will be hosting it, and they're going to do the interviews with game director Alan DeBeery, lead hero designer Kent Eric Hagman. So those, I want to see more of Alan DeBeery.
Oh, yeah.
He was fantastic at the summit. So he needs to get a Twitter. But I think it was Lashes that said we're not ready for Alan DeBeery to have Twitter right now. So maybe someday.
I think we'll see more of him, though. I feel like the video announcing 2.0 was a step in that direction. It kind of, in a way, harkened to like the Jeff Kaplan
Yeah.
videos,
Yeah.
in the sense that it's the game director coming out and saying stuff. So yeah, I mean, I think it's possible. And yeah, he's a super charismatic guy, so why not?
Yeah, Blizzard's been doing that a lot recently. Jeff, and we've seen Ben
Yep.
from the
Ben Rhodes?
Hearthstone.
Oh, yeah.
From the Hearthstone team, do a lot of video type stuff. It's becoming popular, and I really like it. I enjoy it a lot.
Me too.
Let's see. The Hanamura exhibition match that is going to be between Fnatic and Team Dignitas. Dignitas. Why?
Dignitas?
Dignitas. I don't know why I'm
Wow.
having trouble saying that name. I never have trouble.
You just
saying
think they're really neat.
No, it's the podcasting thing.
He does.
When you get when you're speaking into a microphone, words are really hard. Okay, people. Gosh. But that's going to be cast by Dreadnought and Caldor, which will be cool to see them cast together. And then, of course, there will be that reveal. So, unfortunately, this is, of course, while I'm at work.
Oh, yeah. Same here.
But I'm going to try and line my lunch break up with it. We'll see. We'll have to see.
That's a late lunch for you. But yeah, go for it. It'll be fine.
Late lunch? That's
it's worth it.
2 o'clock lunch for me. I typically take at 1:30, so.
Oh, that's
totally worth it. Yeah, totally worth it.
I'm probably going to do the same, so yeah.
Okay, so, of course, Genji Hanamura into Heroes 2.0 right now with the new patch that came out. And first and foremost, let me just say thank you. It is that we can finally talk about this.
Yeah.
I know, right?
It is, especially whenever there was like the Ganji or Genji.
I think we need to take away his speaking privileges, Multi.
Whenever there was the Genji announcement, I was saying ganja. Talking about weed on our hero show. Jeez.
We're going to get that explicit tag after all.
Genji was leaked, and we did the show that week. I mean, it was, first and foremost, super hard not to talk about Hanamura, especially because at the summit, that's like 99% of the games I played were on that map. So even talking
they had
about
the entire downstairs area decorated Hanamura style, and there were like Hanamura themed drinks and all this stuff. So it was, I mean, there was just so much about that event that was hard to not talk about.
Yeah,
and
like
we're past it.
Talking about with my experiences playing Cassia, it's like I wanted to be careful on any examples I gave to try and not slip. And then the show we did that week, everyone in the chat room was like, "What do you guys think the new hero will be? Is it Genji? Do you know? Can you tell us anything?" No, we can't tell you anything.
Just kind of ignored it
just
all.
Played it off. But it is Genji. He is in the game. What is your guys' initial reactions here? I know I tried him. He was my first game at the summit I tried. I played awful with him, so I kind of just didn't touch him because I loved Cassia until later on in the night. But I think he's going to be one of those heroes with a much higher skill floor and ceiling. But I don't know. My first reaction here is I don't think he's going to necessarily fit my play style, but he's still a blast and fun to play, and he feels like Genji. Multi, what were your initial reactions?
You know, I thought the same thing because in Overwatch, Genji is perhaps the opposite of my play style. Like I am worst Genji NA for sure. So I kind of went into this at the summit thinking the same thing. Like, all right, well, I'll try him out just to try him, but this isn't going to work out. And then I found out I actually kind of got it. Like, I mean, you have to think sort of like Genji in Overwatch in that you have to maximize the use of all of your abilities to really get the most out of your damage, which I think is true. And he serves as a really good finisher. There was a really good comparison. I'm blanking on who this was in our Discord, saying that he's kind of similar to Greymane in the sense that you do some of your damage hanging back, but you have the ability to close a gap and then finish up some team fights that way as well. So there's comparisons to be drawn there. But yeah, no, like I just think he's super fun. The mobility is super cool, and I mean, just seeing him pull off some of the plays that he can do, especially with that new alternate heroic that he has, it's just cool. I love seeing another really good port of an Overwatch hero into Heroes of the Storm. And again, this is a nearly 1-for-1 port in that regard. So just I'm very excited. He's actually one I want to take up and take a bit more seriously too. Yeah. At least in this game. Maybe not Overwatch, but you know.
Yeah, for sure. He is definitely a hero that is his damage isn't super high.
Right.
So it's knowing when to go in to finish off and get out, but the mobility is just ridiculous and something we have not seen at this level in the game so far. TBK, how about you?
I agree. He's going to be extremely high skill cap and skill floor.
Yeah.
Like there will be a lot of bad Genjis running around. It's going to be really hard, I think, even after just a week or two, to determine where his balance is at. Because right now, too, in the heavy tank meta, and as much as I hate to say it, the double support meta that we're like slowly moving towards.
Yeah,
I kind of like it, but
I don't like double support meta at all. I hate it. I hate it so much. It's just
but
not.
GFE did such a good job with it.
It is not a fun meta to play, and it is not a fun meta to watch because it's just one of those things where it makes killing things that much harder and reduces those good moments of good play because there's so much extra oh crap type moments, and it's just not as fun to watch because it takes way longer for people to die and it slows things down. So that's I don't like double support meta. So we'll see if we actually end up there, but we'll talk about it a little bit in the HGC, but it's been slowly creeping towards that. So combine that with the normal like double tank or tank bruiser meta we've been seeing, and Genji will suffer a little bit in that meta because he's a finisher. And so it's going to be really hard for him to take down and finish off these super high health targets or a target that's being healed by two people. And so he's a lot of fun though. Like I completely agree with Multi. It is a fantastic kit transfer. And he's got some really fun talents. The new X Strike is really sweet. Amazing. I love the look of it. It just feels like it fits him. Like I feel like I should be able to go into Overwatch and jump in the air and do the X Strike in the game. Like last time I played Overwatch, which was actually not too long ago because of the PvE thing. It's like, oh, cool, PvE. That's fun. And I was really sad when I played Genji and I couldn't X Strike.
Yeah, because I am.
Come on, Overwatch guys.
Let's
get these double ults in.
Horrible Genji in Overwatch. So I may actually be a better Genji in Heroes.
I'm a horrible Lucio in Overwatch, and I'd love Lucio here.
Well, they just nerfed Lucio in Overwatch, so there's that.
Maybe they'll
healing range is down
here
from.
Too. But yeah, he's a lot of fun. He's gonna be very high skill cap, and he's got, like you said, insane mobility, and you can talent into even more mobility. But it's the kind of mobility like his Swiss strike will always go the full length, regardless.
That's really good design too.
It's super long.
Yeah,
it's super, super long. So you have to know for sure what you're planning on doing when you use that ability. It's not an ability you can use lightly, at least for an initiate. And then it's basically an auto save yourself.
Yeah.
If you actually use it as a retreat. So there's a lot of potential around that. The deflect is really cool because not only is it a complete invulnerable protected status, you actually throw a kunai.
Shuriken?
Is that how you?
Yeah, kunai.
Kunai towards the nearest enemy, and that prioritizes heroes and deals damage. So there was something on the subreddit, I believe, where they were on the boss on Braxis, and you know when the boss does full on shooting damage, Genji did the deflect and did 20 to 25% of the boss's health.
Jeez.
With the deflect.
Oh yeah, I've heard similar things happen with Li Ming's disintegration beam. He just sends back this constant stream of death at her. So
it was
just thought.
There's actually a clip with Rich, who did that.
Yeah.
And it was pretty crazy. So there's a ton of potential for high level players, I think.
Yeah, I think if we, when we eventually, whether we get into, nail down the double support meta, double tank, once we move back away from that, which inevitably would happen, I think he is going to be like top pick, top ban potential, if nothing else, because of the mobility. Like his trait here also, it's cyber agility, which you can activate to jump to a targeted area. This can jump over terrain as well. So it's going to be very difficult to kill him unless you got some stun lockdown. If you stun him, he will die. But he just moves around so much. And it's kind of cool. It's another hero that can get over terrain, which is nice. But super excited for him. I'm excited to get back in and attempt to get good at him. But I just remember my first match at the thing, I played against AI and I lost. And I was like, man, I'm a bad Kenji. But I swear they increased the difficulty of the AI. They were playing as a team, man. They were playing as a team. And
Sure
my AI, granted I wasn't pinging them. They stuck it to me. Okay, so that's Genji. Now, of course, Hanamura. And let's state the obvious here that some people are upset about for no reason. Actually, I won't say no reason. Like I get if you are kind of upset about it, but it's the Nexus. Hanamura in Overwatch is not a payload map. This is a payload map in Heroes. Okay?
Not a big deal.
Not a big deal.
Yeah, it's not. But I've seen some fits over it.
It looks pretty, dang it.
It is incredible looking. It's a super uniquely designed map. The payloads are awesome. It's much different than what I was kind of expecting when we got a payload map. So of course, it's the cores are invulnerable. You cannot attack them. You escort the payloads to given points to shoot a missile, kind of like Towers of Doom at the core. Taking down towers or keeps lets your next payload shoot an added missile. And the cores will have 7 health. There are merc camps. There are 3 mercenary camps that are brand new to the game. They're not going to travel down lanes. They are actually going to each give you a special token. There's a recon camp, which will reward dragon spirits. So all of these will give you, after you channel and collect the coin, an activatable. The dragon spirits, you'll release 3, and they'll seek out enemy heroes who are then revealed for 5 seconds. They're destroyed after finding enemy heroes or after 10 seconds. Fortification camp will give you a turret that you can place on the ground or on your team's payload, not the enemy team. Support camps will restore 35% health and 23% mana to you and your allies over 15 seconds, which is insane. And then there is the Mega Enforcer found at the center, which will fire 1 shot on the opposing core. And that is the coolest looking boss with the coolest looking animations in the game so far. It's incredible.
Oh, easy.
And
it's also probably one of the strongest bosses, if not the strongest boss in the game.
He's got that jelly donut of doom. That's the thing.
In the hook, and it's...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there were some pretty neat fights and game-ending fights that took place at the summit of games I was playing in. So, really cool potential there. Yeah, so I mean, this map is going to take a while to dissect. I can't wait to see how the pros play it. One thing, Ryan TBK, I know you had discovered along with some other people, are that the camps are actually worth more experience than other maps, merc camps.
Yep. Right.
And this allows kind of the option to go not soak a lane, but take a camp. Camps are going to be extremely important. There's a camp up.
Jungling could be legitimate versus
Blizzard specifically said that the intent was to make it possible for you to just flat out jungle on this map,
and
which is super interesting.
Bribe OP.
Oh yeah,
Bribe is very strong on this map.
Yeah, you had
Bribe
the Nova
camp
Bribe
by
game.
itself.
I did. I played a Bribe Nova game during one of our play sessions, and it actually worked out incredibly because the healing dudes, there's just one of them, and so you only need 1 stack of Bribe to grab him, which is pretty crazy. And then the turret is 2, and you only need 2 stacks to grab the turret. In fact, what I would consider the weakest camp, which is the sight vision. I mean, vision is good still. It's not, but it's in some ways objectively the weakest type of camp. There's 3, and it would take 3 bribe stacks to get it. So it's I like that. I love that there's a map that can make a certain talent that might not be as good on a lot of other maps a very viable pick.
But it's gonna be, I think, the hardest map decision making wise, because there will be time. I mean, of course, you're going to have to decide, to push with your payload or to stop the enemy payload, who to send where. At some points, there's going to be 2 payloads up. for you or for the opposing team, and it's a fairly large map for a 2-lane map, a very big map for a 2-lane map actually. So it's going to be interesting. It might be a pretty rough map for like plat and below.
I can see
I think
when they haven't.
I think it's
formed
going
any
to be
plan.
a rough map in general for non-team league.
Yeah.
Like just
I can
quick
see that.
match or hero league in general, just because this map, like you said, I think requires the most coordination of any map they've released so far, just because there's so much stuff going on, or at least so much stuff that has the potential to go on. You've got the merc camps, you've got pushing, which will empower your payloads. You've got pushing your own payloads. You've got stopping the enemy from pushing their payloads. And so a lot of the worries right now center around first that. I mean, Quick Match Hero League is going to be incredibly hard and chaotic because it's such, even more so than others, a team-oriented map. And the potential snowball nature of this map, which is definitely there. There's a few things in place that can help, but from what I've played at the summit and what I've played here, it's completely it's viable. Like it is a completely viable concern that it is too snowbally, and part of that could very well be that the amount of damage you need to kill the core is too low. And this was a concern I brought up at the summit. And we did have some games that went late, but we did have a lot of one-sided games as well. And so I would need to play it a little more, especially once it goes live, to get a feel, because matchmaking on PTR is, it's whatever. But so I mean, I want to get a feel for it on live in some coordinated games and even some uncoordinated games, just to kind of feel how it goes. But it would not surprise me, and I probably wouldn't be mad if they did up the amount of damage you needed by a few.
Yeah, I think 10, that's kind of the impression I got, was 10 might be a good spot. But I don't know.
10 could lead to some really long games, though. Like there's the back end of that, where if you raise it too high naturally, then you'll have those games that are super close, going back and forth a bunch.
Well, see,
then you're 40 minutes in.
10, what I think 10 would do, because right now with the 7 at the event, and again, this is one day of people playing the map and testing it, typically there was 1 fort taken by the end of the game, sometimes 2. Keeps never got touched. So extending it to 10 that late game, once you get those higher levels, keeps are going to go down fast to get you those extra shots. So I don't think 3 would be that much. But at the same time, I played several matches there where I actually won. I think I had 2 games where my team won, but were down in levels.
Yeah.
So I don't know, like the snowbally thing is interesting. And I think it's just going to be, it's not so much about the level on this map, but who has the better strategy, because you don't necessarily need to win the pushing game or the soaking game. It's all about who goes where, when, and how do you react to the other team, which is really
super fun.
It's super fun, but I don't know. That's really weird for a MOBA.
Does that feel good?
It feels great.
It felt great winning.
Honestly.
But like when you're like dominating team fights and stuff, and up a level and a half, 2 levels, and then to lose, it's going to be really frustrating for some people. So
I just like it in general because, and you kind of touched on this a little bit, TBK, the fact that sometimes, and I've definitely perceived this in the media summit, you feel like you just have too much that you could be doing.
Yeah,
you're sitting there, you're going like, I could be soaking, I could be clearing this camp, I could be pushing the payload or defending against enemy payload. Like there's so much that you can be doing at any given time. And you're right, I think it's going to be hard for teams, even coordinated teams, to find the correct play, if you will, if there even is such a thing, in any given situation. But that's just, to me, that's just fun. I don't take that as a complaint. Like I like having a ton of options. I like being able to kind of outthink my opponent. And you know what, honestly, if you play the chess game that well and you push someone down 7-0 in like 8 minutes, then you earned it. Like you figured something out they did, or that they did not. And then that team's going to see that happen and say, oh, oh, okay, so they rotated 3 up for this and then did blah, blah, blah. They could go back, watch the replay, learn a lot from it, and then turn around and do it to another team. So I think that's how it's going to evolve over time. And personally, I mean, I'm also colored by the fact that I just love the map in general. The Hanamura flavor, as well as the music. Oh, the music from the Dragons short.
So good.
Remix, so good.
It's
so like,
so good.
I'm biased for sure, but I loved having the options, and I think it's going to make for some interesting strategic play.
Is there a sapper?
So, and this is I was just about to touch on this. Then this is one of the reasons I think I'm okay with increasing the damage needed to win a little bit for potential comebacks. The map itself has a lot of built-in damage mechanics. You got the boss, which will give you a shot. You've got 2 forts and 2
for
keeps.
Everyone.
Yeah, you got 2 forts and 2 keeps, which is 4 extra shots. And then you got the payload shots. And then if you take down the keep, a special type of siege minion will spawn. That if that siege minion that spawns with each wave gets to the end, it will fire a shot.
Okay, I didn't even know that, and that's
I don't know if
super
it was in
interesting.
the build we played or if no one just ever killed a keep, which I think is more likely that no one ever killed a keep.
That's true.
Just because of all the other stuff that was going on, but so the map has kind of a soft built-in ending, if you will, with those type of things if it ever gets there. So at 7 damage, I honestly don't see it hardly ever getting to the point where those will spawn.
Yeah, and that's an interesting mechanic because that just adds late game to another thing to do or have to worry about is defending those.
It's a lot,
right?
It's a lot.
It gives you reason to lane push, though, in a map that otherwise didn't have as much as certainly other maps. So, I mean, again, more decisions.
So let's talk about what we may expect meta-wise on this map. So we've talked about Bribe, and people were messing around with Bribe comps at the summit. Another one I'm thinking, I think this will be another strong global map, potentially.
Just because of the size,
yeah, the size of it, and then the easy, fall stat or to Haka, you rotate down to one of the payloads to either defend or push, and it's easy access to, we got to kill there, bam, go up and push with ours or defend, quick response time, or to get down and clear a wave to push with the sapper catapult,
right.
Things like
globals
that.
Are just good anyway, though. So I mean, but it's
and I mean,
they would shine on.
We also talked about and actually tried out Vikings on this map because each of them is counted as an individual, and you can have up to 3 people on the payload to speed it up. So a full 3 Vikings will actually max out payload speed, which is pretty cool, as well as Rexar and Misha are counted as 2. And Cho'Gall is counted just as 1, so be aware of that.
Well, that answers that question. Is it 2 characters or not? It's not. Yeah. It's just 1.
Yeah, it's just 1. Just 2 heads. Right. But at the same time, too, Viking Bribe could be incredibly strong on this map because of your ability to sneak in to the enemy side camps and get those, plus just soaking lane experience while potentially the rest of your team pushes the payload. So I think there is potential, at least, for them to be very strong on this map.
Yeah, another one I was thinking about, and I saw Skippy in chat, Murky. I didn't see him. I don't think I saw him try it out at the summit, but I just feel with his kind of respawn time, he can be your either pusher with your payload. If you die, your back quick can get back on it, or kind of your harasser for defense to slow their payload because with his quick respawn time. And of course,
because it only takes 1 to contest the enemy.
That's right.
And especially with his tanky build, I mean, he can stall out a payload for, I imagine, quite some time. And then, of course, push the forts in, keeps to get those extra shots, or the sappers in. So, I don't know. I'll be really interested to try him.
I think in general, too, for comps on this, and this is without being able to feel it out too much outside the media summit, but you kind of have to have characters that are able to get scrappy in 2v2 and like 3v3 fights as well.
Yeah.
Think about some of the same comps that you would take to like Dragonshire or something, right? Where you're not necessarily rotating as a full group, but you're doing these little micro rotations, getting in some 2v2 battles. I just think that we'll see a lot of that flesh out in the meta as well, just because, again, there's just so much to do. Like, do you send 3 people to defend their payload, or do you send 3 to push yours, or do you do a mixture of the two? Like, it's going to get really interesting. But yeah, just think about heroes that, I mean, beyond the obvious ones that we just went over, people that would just be good in duels, or at least not get totally shut out in duels, I should say.
Mm-hmm. I think this is going to be a good map for us at some point, a couple weeks down the line, to maybe have a map discussion section as far as strategy, kind of once it's figured out, to help some people out. TBK Multi, do you guys have any last remarks as far as Hanamura or Genji?
I think for Hanamura, at least for me specifically, it's just going to be, I need to try that on live.
Yeah,
it's too hard to really gauge a whole lot from the beta build. So hopefully Blizzard as well gives it a few weeks of let's see how this works. Let's see how the game time goes. Our 75% of matches ending in 8 minutes, right. or is it actually going as long as we'd like it to up the health or not, and to balance potentially some of the cooldown drops, or whatever. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of metas form around it, what kind of strategies form around it. But I know that there are a lot of people down on it simply because of how complex it is, and I think that's a completely justified thought process. So I think Blizzard needs to do a really good job of making sure everything is crystal clear as far as the objectives. It's crystal clear and very poignant when that double shot payload is coming, because that's a big deal, and it's not the easiest to really tell.
It's
you can
kind of
glance down in the corner, but you need to be able to know. Just it needs to be a big deal. It needs to be kind of a shout out, especially when only 7 are showing up, or 7 health is on your core. So I know I've seen that as kind of a thing from one of the big Reddit threads. There's definitely the burden is on Blizzard to make sure people understand this, because it is, in my opinion, the most complex map they've released.
Yeah, it's
so
and see, I'm gonna throw it back at you though, and say that I think the burden is partly on the players as well. I mean, in a way, yes, I understand the complaints about its complexity, but L2 play it. Just get in there, try it out, learn some strategies, watch some HGC when it comes out on there. Like, I think that some of the onus should be on the players to discover and figure out the best way to go about it. And that, to me, is just fun. Like, that's kind of like the new expansion dropping in Hearthstone. Like, we have to refigure out the whole meta and the new cards and new strategies, and it's on us as a community to do so. And I enjoy that aspect of it.
Yeah, and I mean, first and foremost, I love the map, and I don't know if that's a new shiny thing yet, or if I actually do really enjoy the map.
It is pretty shiny,
but they are going to, for sure. I think they need to nail kind of the training video for this map, because especially if they were ever going to put like a level gate on a map, this would be the one to do it. Because people coming over from other MOBAs, yeah, sure, they can adapt to other maps kind of. This is one that could be frustrating, or if somebody's never played a MOBA and gets in this game, it's going to be really hard to know what the heck you're supposed to do, where you're supposed to be, because there's not necessarily any laning, and there are so many different objectives to keep track of. And yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they balance it. And it's also, as far as adding, increasing it from 7 shots, because some games are going short. That's going to be a tough one to balance as well, because with 7 shots, I imagine we can see some sub 10-minute games, but also like it's going to be like sub 10-minute or 20 plus. I don't think it's going to be like a mid range map necessarily. So adding shots could then potentially give us another garden tear, which I don't think we necessarily want. We'll keep our eye on it. Overall, again, I really like it up to this point, but man, it's gonna be interesting when it gets in the game here. But again, I think we'll do a strategy section on that map in the future once we settle down, figure it out, just to kind of help with the process.
Let's let it simmer a little. Maybe watch it in some HGC some too, just to really see like what the different regions are doing with it and all kinds. I mean, this is going to be a deep dive at some point for sure.
Sure. And I think this is a good point to bring up too. We have this is map number 13. We have a lot of maps now, and I think it is high time for us to have some sort of map rotation, be it in Hero League, Team League, to match what HGC has potentially on a season per season basis, or something like World of Warcraft where you can actually ban certain maps to not play them. And I have a feeling I know which two would normally get banned. Spoiler, it's probably going to be Black Hearts and Garden. And I think I love new maps. New maps is good, but I think at this point we have so many, I would almost like to see them take a step back a little bit. Not necessarily stop making new maps, but at the same time start doing to maps what they've done with Heroes, and start going back and hitting some of their problem maps, such as Blackheart, such as Garden Terror.
They did it with Haunted Mines, so it's not unprecedented.
Yeah. So I mean, I want to see more reworks, I think, in that vein. I'm okay slowing down maps a little bit if we go back and tweak some of the ones we have, because 13 maps is a lot of maps. And there's several maps that are either have older mechanics or just aren't that fun or snowbally or maybe too easily PvE oriented that probably could really benefit from some work and going back and looking at it and making even just some slight tweaks here and there.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, I think we'll definitely see that at some point in the future, even if it's not necessarily just to kind of slow down on the release of maps and fix things. But the more heroes we get in the game, the more the meta's shifting. That has a big effect on how maps are played and kind of the success of them. So,
right.
Again, we'll keep our eye on it. But let's go ahead and dive into the HGC. So HGC is back. TBK, why don't you kind of give us the recap of what happened this last weekend?
So we had some really good matches this last weekend, actually. And we had some Titans facing off against each other, and things didn't go quite as planned. We started off with Gale Force, and spoiler alert for anybody who watches VODs and hasn't watched them yet. All right, you good? Cool. Gale Force fought Team 8, and seeing as they're pretty much neck and neck, one would expect Team 8 to put up a pretty good fight, right? They didn't.
Oh, no.
Actually, Gale Force did a marvelous job of kind of hitting them at every single turn. So that was very, very powerful.
And their team comps were, again, I mean, you may not like it, but they pulled out a very, very strong double support comp. We can get into that a little bit later, perhaps.
I don't like it. I don't like it.
But the point is, it totally worked. And I mean,
Yes.
you could even the casters, even Dredd and Gilly, were saying this was the right call, and they just seem to have adjusted better in the time off to some of those tactical things even than Team 8 at this point. So I don't know. I'm just a GFE fan as well, so I was.
Yeah, no, they did a really good job. And the one thing that same day on Friday that really impressed me, and then de-impressed me a day or two later, was Naventic, actually, because Naventic went up against B-Step, and B-Step is, pretty good, solid middle of the pack. Yeah. They 3-0'd him, and I was like, oh, okay.
And then what
Naventic
happened?
has been doing well. they've been using their off time to practice. They beat B-Step 3-0. That's pretty convincing.
Mhm.
And then on Sunday they go and lose to No Tomorrow, who is
3-0.
right now the bottom ranked team, 3-1.
It was 3-1.
3-1.
Okay.
Yeah, 3-1.
See, that
So it confused me. I was so very confused.
yeah, that's kind of
Eventic,
my feelings.
I don't know
as
what
well.
to think about you.
Yeah, because that was kind of my two matchups going into watch, because I had the same thoughts, like, let's see if they've worked it up, or kind of worked their stuff out, and it's like, oh yeah, wait a second, that's not I don't know. So
They had too many Easter eggs was the problem.
Hey.
Like, there's only so much hard-boiled egg you can eat in a given day, and they maxed out. That was their problem.
maybe No Tomorrow stepped it up. Who knows? They're gonna crawl their way out of this. I don't know.
It's looking rough for them.
Yeah.
No question. Tempo Storm, as ever, looked very solid. They took a 3-0 off No Tomorrow, and then they took a 3-0 off of Team 8. Granted, Team 8, for Team 8, Tempo Storm and Gale Force are the other two big boys in this league right now. But
this was convincing for sure.
it was
getting aggressive.
It didn't look like Team 8 was quite ready for what Gale Force and Tempo Storm threw at them, and seeing all their progress, especially through the Western Clash, I was definitely a little disappointed with how it went.
Mhm.
The other games this weekend actually ended up being good. Team Freedom almost took the series off of Superstars,
Yeah.
which was a very, very good set. And like I said, No Tomorrow Naventic set. Naventic is consistently inconsistent. That's really all I can say about them. Like, they're just consistently inconsistent. I don't understand. I don't know. I want them to do good. They've got a lot of good players.
Oh, yeah.
So it just kind of baffles me that we are where we are and they're in one of the bottom spots.
Yeah.
That's been baffling this whole time, though. I mean, these are names we've been seeing in the scene for forever, and yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, and it's looking like, and granted, we have 4 or 5 weeks left before the Crucible spots are sealed, but it's kind of looking like it's going to be Team Freedom, Team Naventic, and No Tomorrow duking it out to see who can get out of those bottom 2 spots.
The
So-
bottom spots.
and then kind of also the who they could potentially be facing. It's looking like looking for more esports and imported support. Are doing
Looking for
pretty well
more
in the open
esports
division.
looks solid.
Mhm.
They look super solid.
Yeah.
I think we have either it's just 1 or 2 weeks of the open left. It's not much before the actual open tournament, where I believe the top 16 teams
Got 4
be
weeks
facing
left.
off.
Oh, open tournament.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
open.
For the
Yeah,
open, yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, so the top, I believe it's the top 16 will be facing off, and then the top 2 from that will be facing the bottom 2 from HGC for the Crucible.
Okay.
Which will be
So-
super fun to watch.
And those are all going to be best of 7s, which I love. I love that they did best of 7, because that means there's no flukes, there's no
Right.
accidents. It is very much if you can't win in 7 games, then you're not going to beat that team.
Right. And if it goes to the full 7, then it's just going to be interesting and fun to see like a really close matchup there. So yeah, it's going to be cool.
For sure. As far as games coming up this week here, I think so. We got Naventic facing off against Team Freedom on Sunday, which will be a good one to watch there.
That should be good.
Uh,
It should be good.
should be good, as well as the Team
I hope
Freedom
it's good.
versus B-Step on Friday. But and
Yep,
then
that should be another good one too.
yeah. And then number 3 to watch, I think, will be Team 8 and B-Step on Saturday at 7:30.
Sure.
As Team 8's kind of slid back here and B-Step's kind of middle of the pack. See if the old standings are shifting, or if they're gonna kind of stay locked in here. But yeah, it's good to have the HGC back.
It is.
Oh yeah, it just
My weekends were feeling very, very lonely.
Yeah, I mean, it was only
That's not true. I have so much going on, but my
Yeah.
background of watching Heroes was feeling very lonely.
It is.
yeah.
and I've needed a reason to just sit in bed and eat some Hot Pockets again, and now I have that.
That's just the life. Right
now I have that. All right. Let's see here. Were there actually some changes in the patch?
Yes.
I didn't want to
interrupt you, but we have a bunch of actual 2.0 patch notes.
We do. We
do. Mm-hmm.
So we can go back and hit those here real quick. And I don't know how I missed these because there's a ton.
It's like there's yeah, I was very surprised when we switched over to HGC. I was like, okay,
we were so wrapped up in the map and the character. It makes sense.
I was just like, oh yeah. It's like
you cannot miss these though, because
there
is an incredible Ariel skin and an incredible Zarya skin that just dropped.
I knew those were in
PTR.
Yeah.
And also that I'm actually almost more excited that we can talk about that Ariel skin now, because I wanted to talk about that so bad. It
is so cool. Beautiful.
Incredible. That
insta buy. And the Zarya skin's an insta buy too.
If I wasn't a horrid Zarya, then I would absolutely get it. But since I am dumb and completely didn't read these patch notes, besides Genji in the map, I will let you take that.
Okay. There's some really cool stuff coming. For you attack movers, for those of you who have done that forever, for those of you who have come from StarCraft, they're adding a new attack move option. So attack move target point has been added. So if you enable it, whenever you attack move, normally it concentrates on the closest enemy to your target point. But now, if you enable it, it will concentrate on the closest enemy to where your mouse is as your attack move. But if you disable it, attack move concentrates on the closest enemy hero to you.
Closest enemy to your hero. So it could still be just a regular, just laning mob. But
it could just be a creep or whatever.
Yep.
This
I can see maybe changing that up.
More control over it though.
Right. I could see you changing between those two from like a range to a melee, for instance, or there might be people that just feel out and like either one better. But it's interesting.
Yeah, I'm a right clicker myself. I know some people swear by attack move. Some people hate it.
I swear by attack move.
So it's really just preference, as long as you can click fast. Heroes Brawl. This is pretty sweet. Completing matches now finally awards hero XP.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This is really cool. In cases where multiple heroes are used during the same hero brawl, like the Punisher one that's going on right now, the total XP earned will be divided evenly among them. So really cool, especially now that XP gives you loot chests. This is a nice little addition to help with brawls. Right. However, and this has proven to be kind of a controversial change, completing the weekly Heroes Brawl quest will now award a loot chest rather than a portrait in gold.
That's so much better, though.
There's so many portraits to get.
I don't care about the portrait, but this, from a gold perspective, this is a pretty big deal, or a pretty big change, because we're talking about trading out 4 loot chests a month for 4,000 gold. And this is a huge chunk of gold that is going to be missing now, that people have been using to get heroes and such.
Well,
but you can get heroes in the chests, and the gold isn't used for as much as it once was. So.
Yeah, and that's...
I have mixed feelings. Like, personally, gold's not an issue for me.
Yeah.
So I don't care as much. Give me the loot box. But I know, especially if you're fully on free-to-play, gold is very important. And losing 4,000 of it a month is a pretty big deal. So I don't know. Maybe they could split the difference and just allow you to pick a loot chest or gold.
Yeah.
That's not a terrible idea, I guess.
That would make sense.
I'm a fan, though, because this reminds me, again, of the Hearthstone Tavern Brawl. And I mean, the one thing that gets me in there completing it every week is that extra pack. So this is very similar to that. And I assume
it's
going to get me in for sure.
More that direction.
Yeah.
It's the people who like the loot chest thing. I can totally understand though where the people who want the gold rather than the loot chest are coming from, because there are people who exclusively get heroes with gold. So I don't know. I don't mind it as it is as the changes, but I wouldn't mind seeing it just popping up something after you complete your 2 or 3 that says, do you want the gold reward or do you want the loot chest reward? And if I need some gold 1 week, yeah, sure. That's 4 single rerolls right there of a loot chest.
I'm really intrigued by this. So I want your feedback if you guys are listening to kind of which you would prefer here, what kind of player you are as far as free to play. If you are free to play, do you want the gold, or is with the new system is the loot chest kind of what you're wanting here to, with the chance of shards and getting to craft what you want? And I'll probably throw a poll up on our Twitter too, because that is a very interesting change here.
It will affect people. It will affect a lot of people especially who are free to play. So it'll be interesting to see, but my guess is there will be quite a few people who do want the gold over the loot chest.
I do like your idea of the choice, because you can't disagree with that. Like you get what you'd prefer. There you go.
Yeah. Yeah, preference is good. In-game UI, they moved the game chat box slightly lower to provide more visibility to the center of the screen, which will be super nice considering that emotes are in the game now, or emojis. Emojis are in the game now. And sometimes if there was a bunch of people sending a bunch of emojis, it kind of cleared the middle, like cluttered up the middle of your screen. So they're gonna kind of put a few restrictions on how many emojis you can do per line and such, which will be good, because that you get too much of that and it definitely could be distracting. So that's just one other thing they're doing to kind of help from that. The mastery taunts we've been talking about for the past few weeks are in game now. If you have a hero's level 15 or higher, which on the PTR, there's probably not a whole lot of people that have a level 15 or higher hero to actually try this out. But if you do, they'll do a taunt animation voiceover and the little cool thing above your head. And the mastery taunts will unlock at levels 25, 15 originally, and then 25, 50, 75, and 100 right now for the scaling graphics.
Yeah.
And there's a new radial menu for that. You can hit X, and then there's a taunt.
Yeah, I think X has taunt, spray, voice
line, and maybe dance or something. I don't know. It's the new radial menu though.
I am personally on board with these things. I know this has been a big topic as far as master skins and whatnots, and especially with the issue of this being a self-stun. A lot of people are kind of against it, but I think it's cool, and it's going to, obviously it's not going to be something you just throw out there. It's gonna, to show your mastery, you're gonna have to know when it is okay to use this thing.
Right. And if you drop a huge mastery taunt and get yourself killed by it, people are going to wonder exactly how much you've mastered that character or this game.
It's kind of a shame, because also, like in League, they have this where it's not a self-stun, but the best part about it is you can flash it when you're dead. So if you just do like something super dumb, and you die, you can be like, oh, take that. There's my E-peen.
Death sprays would be kind of funny. Like you put up like a little GG or something, just something cheeky. That could be kind of fun. Or salt.
I'm sure
salt
we'll
shaker.
get a GG spray at some point.
Yeah.
Loot chests, now whenever you reroll loot chest that has a rare epic or legendary item, it'll give you a warning asking you if you really want to reroll or not. Just a little bit of built-in protection for that. It's most of the UI stuff. There's quite a few heroes changes though, and I'll hit on those fairly quick as we go through. But Cassia is getting buffs. Apparently Blizzard felt like she wasn't quite where she needed to be, so Fend, cooldown decrease, mana cost reduced. Ball Lightning, the mana cost was actually increased a little bit, but it's Ball Lightning. You only use it once every so often during team fights. That's not a huge deal. Valkyrie, this is huge. This is a pretty huge one.
Amazing.
90-second cooldown to a 60-second cooldown.
That's awesome. That's going to make it really hard for me to not pick Valkyrie because I already enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, it's a harder to hit ultimate, no question, but the cooldown on it was very high for especially if you missed with it. Yeah. And it is decently easy to miss or dodge. So now it'll still be fairly easy to miss or dodge, but the cooldown won't be near as punishing as it was before. Some reduction for talent quest requirements for your W on True Sight. The health required to trigger the bonus damage from Impale on level 7 has been increased from 40 to 50%, so it triggers a little earlier. Infinite Lightning. They reduced the cooldown reduction you get per bounce. You used to get 4 seconds off the cooldown for Ball Lightning every time it hit with the 20. Now you only get 3, which is fine because if you use it right, you can almost use Ball Lightning again instantly once it comes out, which is crazy. So yeah, nice little buffs for Cassia. So Greymane, this one's kind of cool. His Inner Beast, his W, the cooldown was increased from 16 to 20 seconds. But they built in his level 1 Wolfheart. So now every basic attack while Inner Beast is active reduces its cooldown by 0.5 seconds. And now you can take Wolfheart to increase that from 0.5 to 1 second reduction per basic attack. So they kind of built that in, which is nice. It's kind of just a nice quality of life type thing.
And then you don't have to take that Wolfheart.
No, you don't have to. It opens up as level 1 a little bit more.
Yeah,
which is cool.
And this one kind of made me scratch my head. So Curse Bullet, which is already, I believe, on a 30-second cooldown, the damage was increased from 35% to 40% of the enemy's current health, which means as an opener on an Avatar Muradin or a
Cho'Gall.
tank or Cho'Gall or anything, you can instantly remove 40% of their health.
It's pretty crazy.
I don't know why that needed buffed.
Yeah, I mean it was
35% is a lot to chunk a tank for right at the opener.
Especially
but this is
instantly.
It's even more. And it's
only
on a short cooldown too.
Yeah, like think of 7-sided strike. Like that's kind of one of the things used for is single out a tank to melt that health. That is, you're having to position it to only get the tank, get all the hits on him, and then that's 49%, and that's a longer cooldown, I believe. And so this is one shot,
much longer.
Bam, 40% health gone.
Now you see why you have your double support meta there, TBK. Got to heal him back up after that.
So I don't agree with this buff. I don't think it was necessary at all.
I don't think so either.
Yeah.
But there you go. Quality of life and unneeded buff. Whatever. I love you, Greymane. I still love you. I will always play you. Nazeebo is going to get a little bit of a nerf. His Toads are getting a buff, but his Gargantuan is getting a pretty decent nerf.
Yeah.
His level 13 Superstition spell armor is also getting reduced from 50 to 40. And his Vile Infection, which is his crazy, I become a damage god, level 20. The Voodoo ritual stacks required for it are increasing from 150 to 175. So he's going to need 25 more stacks to become damage god.
I'm okay with these changes as kind of a Nazeebo main here right now. It seems perfectly fine to me, especially Superstition. I personally preferred Ice Block a lot of situations because I feel like my positioning is pretty decent, and that kind of allows me the choice of when to use it. I'm not saying 50 spell armor was awful by any means, but in Vile Infection, that's such a late game thing that it's doesn't come into play all the time. So
sure, and from a Gargantuan standpoint too, he was extremely strong for the cooldown, especially the popular wall somebody and then throw Gargantuan in the middle of the wall and just proceed to have them completely wreck them. And so reducing his base health, reducing his attack damage is probably a good thing.
Yeah.
It's just a very strong ultimate. Probius, nothing much. His photon cannon can now be self-casted, so he can drop it at his feet real easy. Nothing much from that. I was almost expecting some nerfs for him, but we'll see how he goes. He's pretty strong right now. He did show up in HGC and did well this last weekend, so we may be seeing a little more of him. Ariel. This is a pretty awesome patch, I should say, first off, because there's a lot of support love in this patch. Mm-hmm. But Ariel has gotten almost a buff across the board, and several talent reworks. Her Sacred Sweep damage was increased. Her Detainment Strike damage was increased. She got a completely new functionality for her Resurrect, which is super interesting. And I was kind of chatting a little bit with Bakery on Twitter about this, and he thinks this is pushing again towards the double support meta because you get Lucio and then you get a Resurrect Ariel. So now the cooldown was increased from 70 to 120 seconds. So pretty much the high end of ultimates. But the channel time for Resurrect was reduced from 3 seconds to 0.5 seconds. So very hard to interrupt. But they also added a 5-second delay between finishing the cast and the hero coming back to life.
And it's probably pretty obvious when the timer is going, right? I imagine.
I assume the person will look all gold and glimmery like they do.
Yeah.
Kind of, and you see them coming back. So they moved basically most of the delay into after the channel rather than in the channel.
But I mean, an enemy team could just surround that target in that time, and
let's see, and that's the thing. But yeah, for a solo support, but when you have, say, a Lucio or an Uther or something too, providing extra heals or armor or sound barrier or something like that, you may be able to fight. I don't know. It's interesting. You never want to die in the first place, and it could just be one of those things where you die. Ariel resurrects you, but then your rest of your team get wiped because they're now 4v5, and then you spawn back at the end of the resurrect. It's just like, crap.
Yeah,
crap, guys.
It's too risky of a pick for me still, because a team fight's going to have to go a certain way for you to get the resurrect off and be able to be effective again. In most situations, it's going to be like a situation like that, maybe not that dire. But Crystalline Aegis is just so good. So I don't know.
Yeah, and that's the reason you probably would still never pick Resurrect as a solo support, just because Crystal Aegis is so good. And then she got a bunch of talent changes. I won't go through everything, but definitely check out. We'll have the patch notes in our show notes, so definitely check those out. Lots of cool stuff. Brightwing is finally getting a range ring around herself that conveys the radius of her heal.
So cool.
It's only visible to the Brightwing player, but still very cool.
It's gonna make landing those heals easier, so it's cool.
Yeah, it's especially because those heals are worth a lot more than Lucio's heals. Mm-hmm. You want to make sure that you hit those correctly. Right. Lily got a little bit of a buff to her damage build. Yeah. Her Blinding Wind. Just her base Blinding Wind down to 8 seconds from 10, 30 mana instead of 40, damage from 132 to 140. So damage Lily.
She's back. Lily.
It's probably a thing or something. Tassadar got smacked down hard, and I love it. I love it so much. His plasma shield duration was reduced from 5 to 4 seconds. The shield amount was decreased from 550 to 475.
And that's the base ability.
Yeah, that's the base ability. And then his level 1 talent was finally changed. So now there is no more shield recharge reduction. It doesn't exist anymore. Now, after 15 globes, it increases the shield amount. And after 30 globes, it increases the shield amount again. So it's just a double shield amount, but it can no longer, and now it's an 8-second cooldown, and it's a 4-second, it lasts for 4 seconds. and you can't change that at all.
Right.
So this is a huge nerf to his shielding. He'll still be okay, I think, but you're going to have a clear 4-second gap every single time when no one is shielded.
Right.
Which is good. That allows for some counterplay that wasn't there before.
That needs to get pushed out ASAP so it can get in.
Yeah, right.
HGC.
I know, because the HGC is still playing on the Probius patch.
Yeah,
So,
which is
ridiculous
some time ago.
reason. I was hoping they would start on the Cassia patch, but apparently not. And then finally, Uther, the big Uther rework. This is gigantic. We are going to do another Hero of the Week.
Yep.
Probably a few weeks down the line, just on Uther, because it's a massive change. They removed his passive armor. They gave him a completely new trait, which now when Uther heals anybody with a basic ability, they gain 25 armor for 2 seconds. Doesn't stack with itself, but it opens up a huge range of possibilities. He got some really cool talents. He's got some really cool build paths. He has a talent called Well Met.
Well met.
Which is incredible. And I really hope they add a voice line for him that you can unlock that says, try drinking from a fountain.
You should drink from that fountain.
They should just take.
He should try
it'd be so
drinking.
good.
Yeah.
It's good stuff. Moving on finally to the Warriors. Nubarak is getting a nerf, which he probably needs. He's been sitting on the top of Hot Slogs for a while. He's pretty decent.
Guess
right
what?
now.
It wasn't just his base health that they changed.
I
And
know.
They didn't even
It's
change
crazy.
it. It's
They didn't
so
change his
good.
base health.
So good.
They nerfed Locust Swarm a little bit. They nerfed his subterranean shield a little bit, and they nerfed his epicenter burrow cooldown reduction for Hero's Hit. So I like they took this approach. They didn't do a heavy-handed nerf and just like, let's kill his health again. No, they hit him in a few spots. It's a nice. I like when they use the soft touch.
Yeah.
When necessary.
On his underbelly.
Yeah.
Because that's the soft part.
Someone who still needs some help though is ETC, and I don't think these tiny, insignificant buffs will do anything to help our poor 42% win rate cow right now. Yes, he's fallen that far. It's pretty bad right now.
Good riddance. Anyway.
They increased his health a little bit. They increased the healing and some movement speed and some damage on some of his underused talents. I don't think it's going to do much. It'll be really interesting to see when the pros get on the new ETC patch to see if he falls off a lot or if he's exclusively used in double tank comps as kind of just a CC dude.
Yep. I mean, he can still, like, with just his move set is securing a kill.
Yeah.
So
I just don't feel like he's solo tank material anymore. He's just too squishy. Stitches got a health buff again. This guy has been flying under the radar. He's just been getting like tiny buffs for the last however long. His health is ridiculous now. He has
3,000.
so much health.
Yeah.
3,000. And his slam is getting a little bit more damage too. So maybe Stitches just sneaking up a little bit.
I'd like it.
I'd like it too. And then Zarya finally, she's getting some nerfs as well. Her energy decay rate is back up to 3 per second. Graviton Surge is getting a little buff with cooldown reduction, which is good because it was hardly ever picked and is much harder to use than something like Mosh Pit in a lot of ways because the heroes can still react while they're in there.
Right.
And then she had several of her talents nerfed as well. So lot of changes coming from a balance perspective before 2.0 goes live. And I think most of them are really good. I think most of them have been very strategically targeted, and I'm extremely happy about the Tazadar Zarya bans because there's a lot of people from the pro scene and Hero League and whatnot. Shields are just so strong right now, and there's very little counter to them. So this should help some.
For sure. Absolutely. And man, I can't believe I still missed those somehow.
Just a few minor points.
Just a
It's
few.
no big deal.
You know, I just looked at the top 2% of the patch note pages.
It's all good. It's all good.
Yeah, and again, these aren't live right now. These are just 2.0 open beta, which should, if everything feels right, go live next week on April 25th, along with 2.0. All right. So last week we had Lord of the Draft again, number 3, and it was me, Gizmos versus Multis Mayhem. And just quick wrap up here. So my Team Gizmo was Falstad, Malf, Dahaka, Zarya, and Alarak. And Multis Mayhem was Brightwing, Leeming, Diablo, Valera, and Rexar. And we played this on Sky Temple.
That's right.
And I was able to come
give a little recap of what Lord of the Draft is for the new people here that might not know what it is.
Yes. So it's silly explaining it because it's a very silly thing. So Lord of the Draft is our little competition we do to see who can come up with the best drafts kind of for the current meta. And the way we test this is the most scientific method possible.
Yes.
And that is drafting
very objective.
2 teams. You know, we're given the map, we draft 2 teams, and then we go in and do a 5v5 elite AI match, and we cast it. And it can be
just
brutal.
See what happens.
And yeah, we just see what happens here. And this week, what happened on Sky Temple was Misha was just balls to the walls in every encounter engagement she could be in and not doing well. And then my Alarak saw that happening and decided, you know what? I kind of want to do the same thing. So was using his charge to go as far as possible into enemy territory, incling behind
Usually
gates.
behind walls.
Yeah.
Oh, well behind walls. Yeah.
So those two kind of canceled each other out. But my Zarya, Dahaka, and Malf was incredible. And Gizmos were able to take that match on Sky Temple, now making all 3 of our records 1-1. So,
that's true. That said, though, this was actually a fairly close match. Like there was some back and forth.
I think it was the closest we had before.
Definitely the closest we've had before.
I tried
at the very end.
I tried throwing real hard.
Oh, my team did throw real hard. If you tune into the very end, they just ignore the objective completely. So, lesson learned, people. Pay attention to map objectives.
Yes.
But yeah, no, it was a fun one. It was a fun one to watch, actually.
So I think the next matchup, we don't know when it'll be. It'll probably be on a slow news week. We'll be back to me versus TBK. I'm going to try and redeem myself. And I'm not picking Tracer this time. Not picking her. Or Chin.
That was pretty funny.
It was just a weird comp on my part here. All right, so...
And for those who haven't seen, there is a VOD for it.
Yeah.
It's on our YouTube channel. We'll link it again in the show notes just for those who haven't seen it. And it is on a highlight in the videos on our Twitch channel as well.
Correct. All right,
very entertaining.
TPK, what do you got for our community content shout out this week?
So real quick, Jhow is back doing his Monday morning recaps, and these are extremely awesome because they do a really good job recapping the last HGC for the weekend for most of the regions. So definitely go check those out if you don't have time to watch the VODs but kind of want to keep up with what's going on. Second, we have Masters Class episode 4 aired on Sunday, and this one we did kind of a podcast format almost, and we did a huge segment just on Braxis drafting because far above most other maps, draft matters so much on Braxis. And it seems, and from what I've run into, a lot of people don't know how to draft it correctly. So we did a big segment on Braxis drafting, and then we also did a segment on XP soaking and the best ways to do that. So definitely check that out. There's a lot of good information in there. And then finally, I figured you guys would get a kick out of this. Someone on Reddit posted the old vids. You know how Heroes did a timeline recently? They only went back to like beta.
Right.
So this guy goes and posts something that goes all the way back to the original Blizzard All-Stars.
Yep.
Which is crazy. So like the
2010.
BlizzCon, the BlizzCon in-dev videos and it's absolutely insane to watch some of that stuff now. And he goes kind of through to where the beta is and links all the old stuff. Really, really fun to watch. Like a lot of that 2010 stuff I'd never seen before.
And
when it was Blizzard, Blizzard
yeah.
Dota, Blizzard All Stars.
Yeah, it kind of blows my mind that because they would never do this now, do a panels at BlizzCon showing something that didn't end up coming out for another 5 years.
Oh yeah. That's a thing of the past.
Potentially, wasn't going to come out. I don't know kind of what their break was between.
I think
Blizzard All Star.
I think that was kind of to show off the arcade, right?
Yeah.
That was kind of when the StarCraft arcade was coming out. It's like, look at this cool mod we made.
Well, and that was the StarCraft 2 Dota demo, but then the 2011 was the Blizzard All Stars panel.
Mm-hmm.
So then it's still another 3-4 years before they announced it. So really interesting. Some cool stuff. I'm going to spend some time going through that this week. For sure. So we got one email, or not email, but one listener question this week. So we'll go ahead and get to that here.
You're so excited.
You forgot about the sounder.
Yep.
I'm so excited.
I am excited because I like Core Gaming. He's a nice guy. Core Gaming writes, what are each of you most excited for in 2.0? And man, I've had to think about this personally, but I honestly have to go with the loot chest system. Honestly, I mean, I just like that the feeling of never really knowing what's going to pop out. Certainly, as time marches on and a bunch of new stuff gets added in there that I don't have and I'm looking forward to, I just think it's going to be Christmas all the time. So, I mean, there's a lot to look forward to in 2.0, but for me, it's just flat out loot chests.
Yeah. Mine is kind of going to... It goes with the progression system. My favorite thing is what this system is going to allow them to do with skins.
True.
Yeah, just the fact that they're not forced to, okay, we're coming out with a new skin, now we have to come up with 3 skin tints. This one's hideous, but hey, we need 3. Now they can do 1 skin tint, 2 skin tints, 5 skin tints. And, the things like with Sonya skin, there's, what is it, Wrath Berserker?
Yeah,
Wrath Berserker
helmet,
without the helmet, with the helmet. Hopefully we'll get a Johanna Master skin without the helmet. The Diablo Primeval. So I think that's the coolest thing. I think we're in the fact that when they launched the 2.0 beta, there were 14 new skins, plus all the skin tints for new and existing skins. So I think we're going to see a lot of stuff coming out faster. As far as customization, which is really neat.
For sure.
Yeah.
TBK?
I totally agree with that. I'm super excited about the flexibility they're going to have now for the skins and the tints. And I almost assume that every major patch we get now, like every hero release patch, will come with its own section of here's new cosmetic stuff. Here's new banners, here's new skins, here's new sprays, here's new announcer packs, all that fun stuff. So I feel like that ramp up is going to get extremely high. But I think I'm going to just lean with multi. I really like the loot chest idea, especially the way that Blizzard has implemented it from a full-on all Blizzard's games perspective, going from Overwatch and Hearthstone and whatever. I feel like the Heroes model is the most generous.
Yeah,
for sure.
Just because, you get 4 things, but then you have the rerolls too, which is a really big deal. Because when I jumped in the Overwatch PvE event the other day, and I got a loot chest from it, and I got 3 grays and a blue, I was just like, reroll, please. But it didn't exist, and I couldn't.
Which is actually really interesting because you would think it would be the other way around because Overwatch is the game you pay for, where Heroes is the free-to-play game.
Yeah, but Heroes is being more generous as the free-to-play game than the one I spent $60 on and then is charging me for these things on top of it.
Yeah, because I do find that really frustrating in Overwatch. So I'm going to kind of flip this question here. What is your guys' least favorite thing about 2.0? Mine... personally is banners. I think the banners need a lot of work. I think it's a cool idea, but the fact that you can, oh, I'm playing Vala, but I like the Zerg banner. That thing comes down. Everyone else on my team could also have the Zerg banner. There's no indication of who it is that did it. So I've heard the idea tossed around of like a name above the banner or something, or a little portrait of the hero on the banner. It just kind of seems like at this point an unnecessary thing, because it doesn't actually show, hey, this person did this. Multi, what's your least favorite thing?
Mine's honestly probably sprays, just because I mean I like the concept for sure, and I mean it certainly works in Overwatch and other games as well. I don't really have the visual clutter complaint with it that you do, TBK. I'd be interested to know if you're picking the same thing again, but I don't know. Like apart from maybe just BM, I don't see necessarily the point in throwing them out there. I'm sure I'll have fun with it when I get the chance to, but like even when they announced at the media summit, I was super hyped for even things like the emojis. But when sprays came out, I was just kind of like, oh well, all right, well that's something else to do. Like it just wasn't too exciting for me. I don't hate that it's in there or anything, but I'm not like fired up. You know
I
what I mean?
like the skins and the sprays and heroes more than Overwatch. Overwatch, the only time you ever use them is at the beginning of the game. Everyone's standing against the gate.
That's kind of true,
skin.
yeah.
Like
you'll see them a lot more in Heroes.
Yeah, the Li
than
Ming,
you will in those type of games.
The Li Ming Shades spray is going to be like the most used spray in the game for BM, and it's awesome. TBK, what about you? What's your least favorite thing?
I can kind of understand where you're both coming from like a banner spray perspective.
Mm-hmm.
I see myself potentially using sprays. Banners are just going to be kind of an afterthought.
Yeah.
Right.
Almost. For the most part. It's not something I'm going to go out of my way to craft or whatever. Sprays, I see myself forgetting to use a lot. Maybe it's just I need to get used to them just being in the game. But I'll probably be focused on other stuff, so I don't see myself using sprays all that often. And until we get in there and play with them a bunch, we won't really know if the visual clutter thing is an issue. I know they said in one of the previous patches they redid a few of them and like cleaned some of them up to help prevent that even further. So I mean, I completely agree with you on the banner spray thing. But I think mastery taunts are something that I just completely don't care about.
Man,
to be honest. It's just something that I will probably never use. I mean, I don't taunt now, so why would I taunt?
There was never necessarily a reason to taunt before, though, because
I still honestly don't feel like there's that much of a reason
to show off how many hero levels you got.
Like, it's and people may disagree with me, but I really just I personally don't care that much about mastery taunts, and I don't think I'll really ever use them unless potentially it becomes customized per character. But the little graphics you get for them aren't all that like mind-blowing or anything, and there's just a few of them and they're a little samey, and every single character will have at least I mean, getting to level 15 is not going to be super hard. Just because of the new XP system, so it'll be pretty easy for you to have at least the base level of it. So I don't know. I just don't care about them that much.
I get that. Like my whole thing about it is, so like whenever you come out the gates, like master skins just didn't really do anything. It's, that person's putting a lot of time. Well, this is kind of the same thing. If I'm coming out 1v1 in the lane at the very beginning, it's I make a decision on kind of whether I want to show this person how much I've played this hero, like my mastery level. Because like if you have 100, that's going to be a pretty big deal. That is a lot of time on that hero. That shows a lot more time than just a master skin. and say I'm 50 or whatever, and I'm still feeling pretty good. It's kind of a mind game thing of, oh, I'm going to show this, and then that can either, I think it'll have more of an effect on like making the person kind of intimidated, or you run the risk of them then going like and showing their level 100, and so now.
Yeah.
And maybe this is just me, like, as personally my emotions playing the game. Like, that would then affect me into, like, oh, crap. Like, he might not be good. Maybe just played this hero a lot, but chances are he's probably pretty darn good at this character. Or, like, after a team fight where you wipe the team, flashing that taunt it's kind of BM, but it's, I think certain BMs are okay into the game to kind of increase the competitiveness.
It's also wasted time when you could be rotating to other things.
Yeah,
That's true.
Which is that, especially as I've been getting some coaching. I've been doing a lot more legitimate team league. I've been doing a lot more hero league and such. Timing is so important, so crucial for rotations or getting to objectives or something. And so if we wipe a team and be like, okay, bam, we need to go to boss right now, and two of the people on my team are taunting and stuck for 3 seconds while they're doing this, because taunts will freeze you.
Yeah.
Like, you cannot cancel taunts. So if I have 2 or 3 people on my team that are just like, yeah, taunt 3 seconds and stuff as we're trying to rotate, that to me can potentially cost games, or potentially cost objectives,
like
depending,
or something,
or even a lead, depending on what it is. And so, yes, players have the freedom to do it, but that I feel like it gives potential for you to screw yourself over, or you to screw your team over.
It for sure
and
does.
So I don't. That's why, just to like, and you didn't have a reason to do it before, right? So it's never been an issue. But now if you give people a reason to have a cool graphic or whatever above their character while they're doing it, we may see it done more often, which, whatever. But that, to me, that is, I think, what worries me most about it, is the fact that that could actually ruin my game, depending on what happens, and if a team was wiped or something like that, and now we're late to an objective where we don't have everybody going to some place because people are messing around or whatever.
Yeah, and
I can see that.
That's kind of the exciting thing I see, because especially when it first comes out, people are going to overuse them, and it's going to be bad. This is something that should be used 1, maybe 2 times a match, maybe 0. It just goes back to knowing when it is okay to use it. Like, this is like team wipe that you are going to, like, in the game and know, like, you're not going to boss, you're just going to push down core or something. Obviously, because of rotations and heroes being so important, it just kind of, it goes along to the, the skill of you with heroes knowing when it's okay, when you have the 1.5 to 2.5 seconds to.
But I don't trust people with that. No. I don't trust people with that at all. I don't trust the power Blizzard is giving people. Case in point, we had a team league game that I was playing yesterday. I was in a 3-stack, and we were on the core. The Sylvanas calls GG and proceeds to slash dance.
Okay, well, yeah.
The team comes out, which is a taunt. For all intents and purposes, what it's doing. The team comes out, ends up wiping us with 20% left that the Sylvanas could have been doing if she hadn't been fooling around.
But that was without.
And so
that is a player that's going to lose you the game, or make you make a.
And that scares me that much more.
That's a player that I think uses taunt in a bad situation is going to make a dumb decision anyways, and do not rotate fast enough, or lose you the game. Like, it's not like this is going I
but
think
you're giving that power
there's a potential
to more people now.
Yeah. I don't know. I can't wait.
I don't like it.
My most exciting thing is I'm going to. There's going to be no greater feeling than when somebody taunts when they shouldn't, and they're stunned, and you just demolish them for it.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Until you get that on your team.
I can see it on both sides.
Yeah. They did say, though, Blizzard did specifically say that in internal testing of the taunting, people weren't doing it very much, just across the board. So maybe some of this is going to be a moot point in the sense that, yeah, you'll get that 1 or 2 BMer, but they were the Gazlowe that was just pushing the solo lane the whole game anyway, right?
Yeah. And I could be overreacting. But to me, that doesn't make me feel good that you're giving that potential in a solo queue whatever type environment. If you do this in team league, whatever, your teammates can yell at you on comms. The other 4 people can be like, "You piece of crap! Why did you just taunt? You lost us the game," and then you can feel terrible. But in a quick match, hero league type thing, it could be a much bigger deal.
I think I just like the chaos. I'm wanting the chaos to ensue.
Yeah. You're just an agent of chaos. Yeah. I was going to say one of the other arguments against the taunt system in general is the fact that, with master skins, we had a way to kind of show off our hero level throughout the entire game with no penalty to us. But now the only way to really do that is with this new taunting system. And yeah, I mean, you're not rotating as fast and that sort of thing. So I think that if they maybe did something else with, like, and we've talked about this forever, going back years now, maybe making the high hero levels give you maybe a little golden gleam to you, and people could say, "Oh man, that's a golden Arthas. This dude's serious." And something like that would be just a better way to show off your at least time that you've spent in the hero. To me, that's another issue I had with it.
My last thing I'll say here, because we need to wrap this up, is I agree with Blizzard not wanting to have something that displays necessarily your prowess with a hero in draft, but I think in the loading screen when it's displaying the teams and portraits, that it should display like your mastery level, like the taunt emblem by the portrait.
That's not a bad idea. Mm-hmm.
To kind of that way you can kind of show off, your team sees it and the enemy team sees it, so you kind of know who to watch out for and whatnot. But yeah, all right. Anyways, I feel TBK and myself having another discussion about taunts whenever they launch in game, and he gets really mad at people for using it. I feel it coming.
You should taunt each other.
It's possible.
Okay, Multi.
We're gonna play a post-show game, and he's just gonna be taunting like.
I was seriously
I don't
thinking
have
about
any
doing
in.
it.
I don't have any in level 15 in BTR. Multi,
Yeah,
where
sure.
can we be reached at?
We are found on certainly in-game. You can type /join space LOTS to join us there. Also, we have a Discord sticking at the top of our Twitter, which is @Lords of the Storm. We're also on twitch.tv/Lords of the Storm, live Wednesdays at 9 p.m. Central. Apply that to your time zones as you will. We're also on facebook.com/Lords of the Storm podcast. You can send us email or feedback or anything like that, lordsofthestorm@outlook.com. And if you want to help us out, there's a couple ways you can do it. You can certainly leave us positive reviews out there, 5-star iTunes, that sort of thing. Or if you really want to help with the show, really find value in what we do, and just be our backbone, you could join us with the Patreon at patreon.com/Lords of the Storm, where you give any amount that you deem appropriate, and we appreciate anything anyone has given so far.
Absolutely. You can find me, Gizmozord, on Twitter, Twitch, Facebook at Gizmozord. Multi, where can you be found? Actually, and also on Convert to Raid Presents, the World of Warcraft featuring all things Blizzard as well, which is Tuesdays at 10 p.m. Central.
That's right. I'm on Twitter at Multizord. I'm also there's a show called The Cavalry, which is at The Cavalry Show on Twitter. It's an Overwatch show, and I just recorded right before this one my last show as one of the permanent co-hosts, like constantly. I'm still gonna flit in and out, but I just need to free up some more time. So, but yeah, we actually just recorded that. I'm gonna be posting it. It'll probably go up right around the same time this episode does on the audio feeds there. So, but yeah, I'm gonna plug it no matter whether I'm on every week there. I'm gonna keep plugging it because they do good work over there. The Cavalry Show.
We love you, Multi.
Yes.
We're glad you chose us over them. And TPK.
What?
Take that,
You can find
Steven and
It's nothing
Zords.
like that. I actually just saw them in person yesterday. It was a great time.
Yeah, I saw the
Great
picture.
time.
Good stuff. You can find me on Twitter at TBKZord and twitch.tv/TBKZord, where right now, Masterclass at 7 Pacific, 9 Central, Sunday nights. Come join us as I talk to a Heroes Grandmaster as we go over strategy, replay analysis, and live play drafting.
All right, very nice. We want to give a special thanks to our patron producer, Ouroboros Sword, for helping support the show. We really do appreciate it. And to all of you joining us in the chat tonight, thank you very much. We will see you all same place, same time next week, 9 p.m. Central, Wednesday. Have a good one.
Bye.
Enough. I shall do no more.
All right.